Hey, everybody. Good evening. It's Ellen Lewis from Crazy for You. I am so happy you are here. I am sitting here sort of doing the last of my swatching of tonight's yarn, the beautiful Rowan Fine Tweed Haze. I've had this little ball of fine tweed haze at my desk, and I should have been swatching it all along. I know, but life gets in the way. So I'm just binding it off. And let me tell you, it is so lovely. I can't wait to share it with you. I just can't wait. So tell me in the chat if you can hear me. I'm going to make sure everything is good with my settings and my audio. Sometimes my audio is, a little sketchy, so I just want to make sure. Hey, Jal, it's nice to have you here. Hey, Susie, it's nice to see you. So I got this whole thing going just a little bit late. Anyway, my Rowan order was supposed to be here like 2 weeks ago, and it's not. So what I had planned for tonight was the presentation of the entire Rowan magazine, but it's not here. So I didn't have a chance. I wanted to kind of go through the book and all that like I normally do. So I thought, okay, well, tonight I will present one of the new yarns from the season. That's one of the things I really like about Rowan is that they don't have 10 new yarns every season. They have a couple. And to me, that's so much more manageable. I really, really like that. So let's see. Hey, Susie. Oh, good. Everybody can see. Hand purple, blue piece. What does that mean? And purple, blue piece. All right. You are funny, Jal. I don't know what that means. Hand purple, blue piece. All right. Okay, so tonight we are talking about the new yarn, Rowan Fine Tweed Haze. So you probably remember a couple seasons ago, I think it was 2021, Rowan introduced Tweed Haze, and I loved it. I did a presentation on that. I have a couple skeins of it here. It was, it's chunky and you knit it up on a 10. Any of you who did the agave, you remember this yarn, right? So Fine Tweed Haze. So Tweed Haze was such a success and it was so beautiful and everybody loved it because who doesn't love fuzzy yarn, right? Was so popular that they decided to introduce a little sister to Tweed Haze, and it is Fine Tweed Haze. Let me show you this skein. This is a mostly full skein of it. I think this is the blush color. It's kind of a really, really cool pink color, but it's a lovely, lovely yarn. And again, it is much lighter than Tweed Haze. So Tweed Haze knit on a size 10 needle, like 3.5 stitches to the inch. Fine Tweed Haze knits at 21 stitches over 4 inches. So that's 5.25 stitches to the inch. Let me tell you about it. So Tweed Haze had a blend of wool, mohair, polyamide, cotton, that gave it that brush quality, a little bit of a silky sheen, and then the cotton and the wool in there with the little bits of this and that gave it great little pops of color in there. So you see a similar kind of thing with this yarn, but again, it's finer, and instead of that mohair, they've swapped the mohair for alpaca. So it has a really, really beautiful, soft hand. I wish I could let you feel it through the camera, but it is so soft and lovely, really pretty. It's a little bit, just a teensy bit more matte than the Tweed Haze because the mohair has a little bit of a sheen. So it's just a little more matte, but I don't think that's a bad thing. And it definitely makes up for it in softness. So what else do I want to tell you about it? Let me give you the rundown. This is our little tasting card. If you have ordered the pre-order the magazine and the tasting kit, or if you've ever ordered tasting kits from us before, you know that this is the little tasting kit we send you with a sample of the yarn for you to play with. And I always have all of the pertinent information on the tasting card. So I think that's really handy to have. So let me just refer to that. Okay, 37% alpaca, 37% wool, 13% polyamide, 9% cotton, and 4% polyester. And the polyamide and polyester are in there to sort of hold this stuff together so that when they brush it, I mean, it's an integral part of the yarn. It's not in any way to cheapen it. It adds strength and durability to the yarn. So that's why it's in there. Here's the thing I want to point out. 235 yards per 50 grams. That's a huge amount of yardage. When you think about a regular DK / worsted weight yarn, think about a light worsted. So say Rowan Pure Wool Worsted, which is their machine wash wool. You've got 100 grams and it has 200 yards, 216. So 50 grams of that would give you 108 yards. You're getting more than twice that in the same weight. So you're getting more yardage in this yarn than you would in the Rowan Pure Wool Worsted for half of the physical weight. Do you know what I mean? So I talk about that a lot, you know, how a yarn, how much it weighs, how light it is, not in terms of its gauge, but in terms of the overall physical weight of the garment. So this is a beautiful lightweight yarn. Even though it knits at a light worsted heavy DK gauge, it has very light physical weight. So anything that you made from this is going to be super lofty and light and feel like a dream on your body. So I love that. So like I said, really great yardage. And I have my camera here, so I want to show you what it looks like. So I swatched it up, as I always do, on several different sized needles. And I think it's really striking how nice it looks on all of them. So let me pull this camera in and show you what I got. Let me just give this the whole deal. Okay, so I don't know why I always end up with these pink ones that don't show up as well. That might be better. And no, I didn't pick this pink. This is what I got. Okay, so here at the bottom, I swatched it at about 5.5 stitches to the inch. So it's a little tiny bit stiff at this gauge. This is tighter than the gauge it's recommended. So this would be just about 5.5 stitches, and the recommended gauge is 5.25. So this is pretty close to the recommended gauge, and it makes a nice, not stiff, but a nice firm fabric that I think is really very wearable. You can't see through it at all. It still has a nice amount of bounce, really pretty. And then this second gauge I did at straight up 5 stitches to the inch. So a little looser, just a smidge looser than the recommended gauge. I love this very much. I think this is beautiful. So I ended up knitting, now remember that it doesn't matter what size needle I use or what size needle you use. What matters is the gauge that you're getting. I'm only telling you what size needle I used because somebody's going to ask me. So all right. I used a size 4 needle to get this smallish, a little over 5.5 stitches. And I used a size 6 needle to get the straight up 5 stitches. Okay. Everybody is going to be different. So it might take you a different needle to get this size, but this is really close to the recommended gauge, and it's just a beautiful fabric. So as I always do, just for giggles, I put it on a needle 2 sizes up. I used a size 8, and for this one I got 4.5 stitches to the inch. So you can see it's starting to be a little maybe more drapey than you want. It's looser. I definitely still think that this is a wearable fabric. You could easily do a sweater in this at 4.5. you could certainly would make a beautiful wrap, a very light accessory of some sort. If you needed more structure, you would want to go with a smaller needle and here, but all of the patterns in the collection are worked at closer to this gauge, okay, which is very nice. But I needed a bit of a smaller needle to get that gauge at this yarn, which tends to be pretty typical for me to need a smaller needle when the yarn has a lot of fuzz to it. So that's what it looks like at the 3 gauges. And I have not blocked this. I don't know that it's going to need blocking from the standpoint of having to bloom. I think because it's brushed, it's not going to bloom additionally, but as always, I think blocking will even out your stitches a good bit. Part of the appeal of this yarn, of course, is it's sort of not really uneven, but the bumpiness. You can see it better on the back. You know how I always say that texture tends to the purl side. You're always going to see the texture of the fabric a little bit more on the purl side. So you can see that it really is very textural. You will notice that the little tweed bits are more noticeable here on this side. I think I actually like the reverse stockinette side of this even better than I do the stockinette side. What do you think? Tell me in the chat if you like the stockinette side or the reverse stockinette side better. And you can also get a better sense of the fabric. You can see how much looser it is as we go up on the purl side. But yeah, you don't notice the, I don't think you notice the colors quite as much on the knit side here. Tell me what you think. Yeah, I think this is pretty. I will tell you that the knitting of this yarn is really, really nice. It is so pretty to knit with. It's brushed, but it's not too brushed. It doesn't have like long strands that get caught in one another. And it's not a loopy, it's not a boucle. So it's just that the fibers have been brushed up a little bit. What they do is they take like a little teasel, and I'm sure they don't do this in the commercial world, but in the, in the hand knitting world, they take a little brush that looks kind of like almost like a mascara wand. My daughter says they call those spoolies. But something like that brushes the fiber up. I'm sure they have some kind of fancy device that does it commercially, but it catches those fibers and it brings them up. And those loose brushed bits are what allow this yarn to be knit at a looser gauge. So even though the stitches are farther apart, the little hairs that extend out between the stitches make it, they fill in the gap. So I'm sure I could go up another 2 needle sizes and still make this a beautiful fabric. It would not be, for me, it would not be a sweater fabric at that point, but it would make a lovely, lovely wrap. So any thoughts on this? Let's see. All right, Lori. Hey, everybody. Hey, Jal. Hey, Lori. Hey, Susie, Norma, Donna. Nice to see you guys. Let's see. Lori says, the knit side looks worn, even though brand new. Okay, I can see that. I mean, and that's part of the fabric, the fiber being brushed. That's part of what a brushed fiber looks like. But I understand what you're saying. Does that turn you off from it? Would you not knit with it because of that, Lori? Tell me in the chat. All right. Norm becoming a fan of swatching. Okay, why is that? Because I swatch on the show, or because I tell you it's such a good idea, or you just liking it? It is kind of fun. I think swatching is like, I don't know, it's almost scientific, oh, what's going to happen on this needle? What's going to happen on that needle? And then you have this experience of it. Norma, for those of you who don't know, is a vet, and she probably keeps a lab notebook on her swatches. Tell me if you don't. Okay, Amy likes it. Yes, good. Hey, Eveline, welcome back. I hope you had a fun time on your knitting cruise with Arna and Carlos. I bet that was amazing. I can't wait to hear all about it. Hey, Betty, nice to see you. All right, Liz. No, yes, you like to see that. Okay, what does Liz have to say? All right, I like the smooth, but yes, I think so too. And I think this is part of why it's so important to swatch, because you just don't know, you think you're going to like the stockinette. I tend not to be a fan, just between you and me, not to be a fan of reverse stockinette. I don't know why. To me, it always looks like the inside of the garment, which of course, it typically is. But I think some yarns are meant to be showcased on the purl side. So it doesn't have to be the purl side. It could be any stitch pattern that has both knit and purl, at least some purl on the public side. So it could be garter stitch, it could be seed stitch, it could be moss stitch, any of those that are going to display the texture and the colors of the yarn to full advantage are going to be great with this. I like it. Yes, absolutely. Kim Hargreaves does have some beautiful patterns in Adore for reverse stockinette stuff. Okay, so let's talk about the colors. I think they have a beautiful palette this season. As I said, this is one of the colors, which I think is absolutely gorgeous. I wish I had all of the skeins here to show you, but I don't. But I do have this little presentation that I'll make for you. Okay, so the 10 colors that it comes in are right here. There's this beautiful orange, a deep blue, this sort of cherry red, kind of a cool pine, a bright yellow green. This is called linen. It's sort of a pale taupe. This one is mist. It's an off-white. Got a dark gray, a black, and then this blush, which is what I have been swatching. And I'm just going to run through the pictures of the yarn real quickly so that you can see. These are all up on the website as well, and I believe there's a link in the YouTube video to it. I can put it in the chat as well. Look at that blue. I think that is so pretty. Whoop. Why is this going the wrong way? Orange, blue. There's that kind of cool green. And then the yellow green. That, to me, I had a hard time when I was dealing with these pictures. That beige is so, to me, it looks so pinky. So I definitely think it's a pinky beige. I'll let you know more when the yarn actually shows up. This is the white, which is beautiful and elegant. Of course, I love white. And then the charcoal and the black. And then, of course, my favorite, that pale pink. Aren't they pretty? So they've got a lot of really nice patterns for it. Now, the patterns for this yarn are featured in one of the stories in Rowan 74, and they don't have a separate book for the yarn yet. So it's incorporated into the magazine. And like I said, I don't have the magazine yet, but I do have some of the yarn specs. So I put them together and I want to share that with you now. All right. Okay, so this is the first one. This is called Bombazine. Really fun wrap. And because of the great yardage, you only need 2 skeins of each of the 3 colors. This is really pretty. This would be a fun interplay of intarsia. Any of you who had fun with the intarsia projects that we've done would love this. I think that's really cute. This is a little hat that goes with it. And then this is a cardigan. You can do it 2 ways. This is Reed by Martin Story. You can do it with the 2 sort of mismatched stripe effects, or you could do it in a solid color. I think this is really pretty. This one, it doesn't appeal to me, but it doesn't mean that it wouldn't appeal to other people. It's just not really my style. Maybe Whitney would like that. Yes, Lori makes a great point. Yes, looks a little Beetlejuice. But I think in the pale pink, this is just a lovely basic cardigan. We talked last week about the different types of sweater construction. This is a set-in sleeve construction. I think this one's going to be super popular. This is called Sarsnit. It's by Quail Studio. And this is just an easy fit, like almost like a poncho kind of thing. I can't tell. I have to wait till I can have the magazine. I can't tell whether that's a raglan line or whether this is a drop, a drop shoulder. I hope it's a raglan, but I love it. Comes in 3 sizes, and even the largest one just takes 8 skeins, which is great because there's so much yardage on this. This one's Bobbin by Chloe Thurlow. I think this is super fun. It makes use of the really pretty colors. I love that lime green. This is another example of one that you can do in 2 different. You can either do the stripe or you can do the solid. Really pretty. This is a deep V-necked drop shoulder design. So meant to have a good bit of ease. This is your, your boyfriend cardigan or your grandpa cardigan. Really pretty. You just wear that just all the time, right? This is Loot. Again, you got 2 options here. This stripe I actually really, really like. It's more of a color block with just this tiny little pop in there. I think that's beautiful. Again, a wide drop shoulder here. So meant to be worn with a great deal of ease. Tell me if any of these are speaking to you. Which ones you like. Banner by Chloe Thurlow. She is such a talented designer. This is a great example of Fair Isle and lace together. Not something that you see all that often, but she's done this beautiful Fair Isle motif at the bust and then again at the lower waist. And then she's worked in a lace pattern, which I think is just lovely and clever. I like that. Polly likes the first cardigan in the solid. Yeah, it's a solid basic design, isn't it? That first one. Dobby. I can't say Dobby without thinking about that adorable little elf from Harry Potter. This is a yoke construction, I believe. Should be, yeah, yoke. And I don't know whether this is knitted bottom up or top down, but I know that it is in the round because it is a yoke construction. That's cute. That looks very fun and playful. This one I think is my absolute favorite. I don't know why I like this one so much. I just do. I think it's so easy fitting and it just looks so relaxed and comfortable. And the way that they've worked this bit that hangs down that I talked about last time on the, about the excessive drop shoulder, somehow they've made this work really, really well. I think this looks great. Yes. All right. So Betty loves Loot. Yeah, I think that's pretty. And the wrap. Betty, you're kind of more of a accessory girl too, aren't you? Hey, Irina. Yes, Dobby is cute, isn't it? I know you like Fair Isle too. Lori, I like the yoke construction patterns. Looking forward to 74. Yes, there are a number of patterns in the Betty likes Camlet too. There are a number of patterns in magazine 74 that I think are really, really good. Let's finish up with this. And this is the last one, Rapier by Martin Story. Very pretty. I love the use of this green color pop in here and the believe this is stranded, I guess. Yes, of course, rather than mosaic, but very pretty, a great shape. Just a lovely, lovely shape. I think that's lovely. I do think that you will really enjoy magazine 74. Like I said, this yarn, the Fine Tweed Haze, is an entire story in the magazine. So the second half of the magazine is dedicated to these designs in this yarn. I'll be doing a presentation on magazine 74 and the other story in it, which is called My Way, which is all about felted tweed and kid silk haze, 2 of my absolute favorite yarns. So Are there any thoughts or questions about fine tweed haze? What appeals to you? What are you thinking you might want to make with it? If not any of the ones that I've shown, is there a pattern that sort of appeals to you that you think you might want to use it for? I definitely can see this in some of the petite knit garments that we have liked that are at a DK gauge. If you didn't work Stockholm with the two yarns at, I think it's 21, it's the perfect gauge for that sweater. If you're a top-down girl and you like the look of that, this would be a perfect yarn for a Stockholm. It would be so light and floaty and absolutely lovely. So at this gauge, I think it's super, super versatile. And I can tell you the hand on it is just lovely. They're both really nice. I have the tweed haze here and I have the fine tweed haze here. Let me just show you real quick the difference in gauge on those with the camera. All right, so here's the tweed haze, the fine tweed haze, and here's the tweed haze. So it's probably about half the width. See the difference in that? Maybe more. But although it looks really fine and delicate, it's a sturdy yarn with a really solid gauge. So anyway, I'm excited to get the new colors in. I think the palette is stunning. I think it works together. I think the colors in this palette are meant to be mixed and matched and used as a pop. Again, I think it would be a great accessory if you have a shawl that you like, that you wanted to do in a DK or worsted gauge. This would be a beautiful yarn to use because, as I said, the palette goes together and they have such great wearable neutrals and then those really pretty pops. And I don't know why, but those two greens are really speaking to me. The two greens and the pink, I think, are just so wonderful. All right. What's the yardage? Okay, so the yardage is 238 yards per 50 grams. So it's very, very light. It's got a generous yardage and a very, very light physical weight. So I think when as you know, Irina, when you are looking at a standard DK yarn, you're going to be looking at about half that yardage in 50 grams. So you get twice the yardage because it is so light and lofty. Could you use this as a carrier yarn successfully? I mean, you absolutely could. You could put this with another DK weight yarn. A carrier yarn tends to be a finer than the yarn it's being carried with. So if you wanted to carry this with something like a worsted weight yarn or a bulky yarn, you could do that, or something that is equivalent weight. If you carried something finer with it, then that, I guess, would be the carry along. But yeah, absolutely. If you wanted to make a chunky something out of this, you could carry it with, I don't know, a strand of fine lace, I think would give you a chunky gauge on this. 2 strands would certainly give you a bulky gauge. You could do it at 3 to the inch. And that would make maybe a really nice Cocoa Knits Emma. Where's Ellen asking if we could make a Cocoa Knits Emma out of it? Oh, so cute. All right, so I am so happy that you were here tonight. I've had fun sharing this yarn with you. And if you are interested in the yarn, I do have it available on the website. And if you would like to order it, it will be here any minute. Well, not any minute, any day. It should come tomorrow. Today is the 30th. They have until the 1st to get it to me, but so it should be here soon, and I ordered plenty of it, so I would love to send some out to you. If you are not sure about getting the project yet, you can still order the tasting kit with the Rowan 74 magazine. If you mention in your order, so I had the cutoff date for getting the tasting kit with the pre-order of the magazine. But if you order before the 2nd of September, that's the 2nd of September. So and you mention that you saw it on this YouTube video, I will go ahead and include the tasting kit with your magazine order. So, and that is available on the website. We should pop a link in here, shouldn't I? Let's see. Let me do that. Rowan Fine Tweed Haze. Okay, this is the link to the yarn. And this is the link to the magazine. Yeah, so if you order the magazine, like I said, and you order that before the 2nd of September 2023, and you mention that you saw the YouTube video, then I will go ahead and include the tasting kit with your order. So I hope to see you soon. I have enjoyed being with you. I know I should always say every time, if you like the video, please give it a thumbs up. I always love comments. I respond to every single comment. I would love to have you subscribe, and I will see you next week. So thank you so much for being here.